The first time I saw the story in a collection by Jorge Bucay, an Argentinian psychiatrist and also writer, it immediately made me think of my friend Phyllis. Now, Phyllis is a person who experiences on a regular basis so much joy and delight in the little things that joy and celebration should just be her middle name. She has traveled all over the world, and I am quite sure that during the year and a half that she lived in Bhutan, their gross national happiness measure went through the roof because Phyllis was there. Birthdays are her specialty. Her birthday's March 9th, but why celebrate one day when one can celebrate the whole month instead? And I dedicate this story to my dear friend Phyllis, and I think soon enough you'll realize why. El Buscador, the Seeker. This is a story of a man who considered himself a seeker. He looked at his life as a journey. He didn't necessarily know where he was going, what he would find, but he knew to follow every single intuition or leading of his heart. So when he got such a leading, a voice that said, "Travel to the city of Camir," he didn't question that leading. He set everything else aside, and he set off on foot down a dusty road to reach the city of Camir. He had traveled about 2 days. It was dusty, he was hot, tired, but in the distance he could see the spires of the city of Camir. And just about that time, he noticed on the right-hand side of the road was a hill. The hill was covered in luxurious green grass, no drought there. And this hill was surrounded by a polished wooden fence, and it had a lovely bronze gate inviting him in. He opened the gate and thought, it won't harm anything for me to take a few moments and rest here in this gorgeous spot before I head on to Camir. I can see it in the distance. Indeed, there were flowers, the birds were singing in the tree. He could lean up against the trunk of one of those trees and scratch his back like a tired bear after a long day's walk. And that's when he noticed there in the grass were shiny white stones. He was curious when he saw some writing on one of those stones, and he looked over and read it. Abedul Tare, it said. 8 years, 10 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. He gasped, realizing that this was a gravestone. He looked around and saw there were more of these white, polished stones. So he looked at another. This one, Jamar Khalik, age 5 years, 10 months, 2 weeks, and 10 days. Now he was really stunned to think these are the graves of 2 very young children. And his curiosity got the better of him, and he started to go from stone to stone to stone, and was horrified to see that all of them appeared to be the gravestones of children, the very oldest of them being no more than a bit of over 11 years in age. And he was overcome with grief at seeing so many white stones of children, and he sat down and began to weep. Now at this, the caretaker of the cemetery came by and saw him weeping, and he said, "Sir, is it someone of your relatives here that's causing you to weep so deeply?" "No," he said, "I don't know any of these people, but what is it about this place? What kind of curse is there on the city of Camir that you are losing so many of your children? You have to have an entire cemetery just dedicated to children? What kind of curse?" The caretaker said, "Oh, no, it is not as it appears. Dry your tears." Here, let me show you. He started to pull out sort of a necklace from around his neck, and at the end of it was attached a little notebook that had been hidden within his shirt. Let me explain, he said. Here in the city of Camille, it is our tradition, when any of our young people reach the age of 15, we give each of them a book, just like this. And the instructions are that on the left-hand side of the book, they are to write down every joyful moment, every moment of pure delight. And then, next to it, on the right, how long did that joy last? So, you fell in love, did you? And how long did that last? Was it 2 weeks that you were skipping a beat, around in great joy? Was it a month, a year? The first kiss. Come now, was it just a minute and a half, the duration of the kiss, or longer? Write it down. When your first child was born, how long did that delight last? Was it the moment of the birth, the first year? When your brother, your long-lost friend, returned from far away, and you embraced once again, was it an hour or longer yet? Every single thing that birthday of March 9th that went on for a whole month long, write it down. And then, said the caretaker, when each and every one of us from the city of Camille dies, we take that book out and we tally the time of ecstasy, of pure delight that each of us has lived. And that is the age that is put on the tombstone. For that is the time we consider that one has truly lived. I got to the end of the story, and I realized when her time comes, I am absolutely sure my dear friend Phyllis will have lived the longest. Thank you.